Welcome to Clean Plates, where every bite tells a story. I'm Brian Romaine, joining you on a culinary journey to understand the whys behind our diets and desires. Welcome to Clean Plates, where every bite tells a story. I'm Brian Romaine, hosting you on another wonderful journey of the world of food. Today I have the Tallow Twins with me. I've got Megan and Madison. They own a grass-fed beef tallow skincare company. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, Brian. We're happy to be here and excited to talk all things tallow with you.
Yeah, let's get into it.
It's a pleasure, and I cannot wait. Guys, tell me what inspired you both to start a tallow-based skincare company.
I will start with the story. So 2 years ago, I was working as a traditional birth attendant, and I still am. What that is, it's basically a traditional midwife, but minus the regulated system. So I'm not allowed to use the term midwife. I just support women to give birth to their babies on their own at home with their family. It's really special. But at the time, 2 years ago, my clients were really wanting and inquiring to me about what product should I be using on myself and my baby. And I'm like, honestly, I don't feel confident enough to suggest a product because I don't believe that there are very many clean options on the market. And so I had recently been learning about tallow-based skincare, and I was looking around in Canada, and there was only 2 places that sold it remotely. And I was like, well, and this was at the time that 2 years ago, there was literally no tallow skincare brands, which you'd think pretty wild considering everyone and their sister has a tallow brand these days. Mm-hmm. So I think we're one of the pioneers, in other words. But anyway, we won't get into that. So I started making tallow in my kitchen to offer to my clients. And then soon after, everyone wanted it. And so this is when I pitched Megan the idea. I'm like, well, why don't we start making our own tallow and offering it to our community and the small farmers markets and make a little business out of it? We certainly didn't think that we were founding ourselves in an e-commerce brand that we'd scale 2 years later. But at the time, it was just like, let's offer this to the community and see where it goes. And so, yeah, now here we are. Tallow Twins is scaling to the friggin' moon. And we're still wearing a lot of the hats, but I mean, learning so much as we go. We don't honestly know what we're doing, but we're figuring it out. I mean, the best way to learn is to actually do something. So, this is what we've been doing. And it's been just like so incredible. But I'll let Megan tell her side of the story.
Yeah, at the time, 2 years ago, I was just graduating university. I did all things business, my bachelor's degree in business administration and marketing. I was living away. So we're from Ontario. I was living on the east coast of Canada, Nova Scotia, finishing up my degree there. And I had moved home that spring post-graduation, and it just wasn't a hiring market. I couldn't get a job. I was sending out resumes to everyone and their sister, and I just couldn't get anything. So when she approached me with the idea, I didn't really think twice. I said yes right away. And then the next day we sat down at a cafe in a grocery store, and we bought the domain and started designing our logo. And it just started to snowball from there as one.
Yeah, we designed this bad boy right here. We certainly didn't think that this was going to be a logo that we would have for years to come, but we are. That's why there's no pressure doing it, I guess.
No.
Like, yeah, this looks all right. Let's just do it. Everything was done within 24 hours, which, I mean, worked out, I guess.
It shows tenacity. I mean, it really truly shows the fact that you took something and you ran with it. The idea is simple. I like that there's not only simplicity in the approach and the ingredients, but there's also simplicity in the logo. It speaks for itself.
Absolutely.
It really does. Yeah.
Yeah, we're making tallow. We're twins. Tallow Twins. There you go. That'll do. That shoe fits. And yeah, we're like, is this cheesy? I don't know. People might love it. And absolutely people love it. Like Megan had a customer call today, and they were wrapping up the call, and she's like, I just love the name Tallow Twins. So cute. Yeah. Shout out Kathy. We appreciate your business and support.
Right. Did you guys grow up with natural skincare remedies in your household, or was that something that took a transition of time to get to?
Absolutely not. I mean, our parents are very traditional in the sense of like, I don't know, meat and potatoes family. Don't really trust the government, but we do what we got to do type family. But in regards to like biohacking, holistic wellness, our parents were certainly not our dad, but even our mom, like, she wasn't really totally woke in that department. So it kind of started with me in high school where I was kind of questioning a lot of the paradigms and just things that we're putting in our body and products that we're using. And I've always just loved all things skincare. But at the time I was supporting big skincare, Sephora, and all the brutal chemical ridden products until I started kind of looking into it a little bit on a deeper level. And then, that it was a snowball effect, obviously, over time, learning more about myself, my own hormones, my own health, getting off birth control, all the things that, society has kind of demonized or not demonized, sorry, but made look so normal. Like, these are the things that women just do and women use, and it's okay and it's healthy, but it's like, wait a minute. So that's when we kind of started questioning the things. And we were both always super active into sports. Megan has played rugby for college and university, all the things. And we've been super into CrossFit for over 10 years and really taking care of ourselves and actually how to fuel ourselves. So it created a very large foundation for us to really dive deeper on things like our skincare, and then us founding our brand and having certain morals and values to offer our community and what we base our brand on. And it's been successful in a way of not only educating ourselves, but now offering this education back to the community for other people to kind of maybe question the things that are in their routine.
Yeah, I really like that you two are very attentive with the response that you have for people in your comments and the way that you guys really educate folks with the way it's basically for me, I love seeing the vernacular is what I'm saying. I love seeing the way that you guys break things down. You give people facts. You really stand up for what you're selling, and you don't allow people to say things that are not of educated source. And I really dig that type of it's not only like standing up for the growth of your business, but you're also showing other people how to kind of flip the lid, because I've seen it. I've seen through the comments of people who are like, oh, thank you so much for educating me, because I actually didn't know that by saying this, I was stepping into a zone of someone who's about to formally educate me versus just eviscerate me in the comments.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I think I've probably done a little bit of both. And there's been times where I've said, like, definitely responding with ego here. But it's just, it's tough when you see all these like medical professionals or like skincare specialists. But I'm like, you recommend retinol treatments and Botox. We're not the same. We're not cut from the same cloth. I am coming from a traditional ancestral wellness approach, and you're coming from a Western medicine approach. And honestly, to each their own. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to want all the Botox, all the filler, all the things. We're not them. And that's not who we're trying to reach. And if that's what you enjoy, then I mean, I hope you're educating yourself and you understand what it is that you're putting in your body and the risks that are involved with that. And at the end of the day, we don't have a whole lot of information on our risk label. We actually do have side effects on our jars. Warning, side effects include soft and glowing skin. So that's the only thing that you have to worry about when you're using tallow-based skincare. And we're not over here preaching that tallow-based skincare is the be all end all. If that were the case, then we'd be billionaires. That's not the case. Everyone must try each product on their own journey, to each their own. Whatever works for one person, that doesn't mean it works for everyone. We have had literally we could count on one hand in the last 2 years of customers that have said that tallow didn't work for them. So I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm sure there's people out there with their own physiology and anatomy that doesn't agree with tallow. But I do believe there's a very small percentage of those people. And yeah, everyone should just try tallow-based skincare because there's no chemicals in it that are disrupting your hormones and giving you cancer. So we kind of appreciate that.
Well, I think it's appreciated amongst everybody because I was a butcher for 2 years. So I understand that there are multitudes of benefits because from what I understand, and this is also me being educated by y'all, so you can definitely fill in the holes for me. But I feel like I had read somewhere that you guys had typed up that it actually like agrees with your skin. I can't remember the actual scientific breakdown of it, but as opposed to it rejecting or like it being some sort of chemical based where it's just going to suck it up. And then unfortunately it's right in your bloodstream and right into your biggest organ. And so, you know, I believe I had read somewhere that there is the bio breakdown or the, you know, the actual.
It's very similar to like our natural sebum. So like our
sebum,
our skin oils that we produce, our sebum is very similar to the genetic makeup of tallow itself. So it makes it super duper compatible and easily absorbed into our skin. So it works. We're together. It's going to work together and it's very natural. So you can't really argue it with that.
Can't argue.
No.
I love the just how forward you guys are with your information. And you've also educated yourselves in these backgrounds of different branches where, you know, you have Madison with her birth care background. And it seems like, tell me a little bit about your background, Megan. Tell me like a little bit about yourself.
I kind of do all like the operations side of the business because again, I was more whatever I have in like the biohacking and natural holistic living, that's all a reflection of what Madison gives me. So for instance, even when we were younger and like steering clear of like skincare products and just other products in general that we shouldn't be using on our bodies, she was always the one saying, "Hey, Megan, don't use that. That's really bad for you." And I would just like suck all that information up like a sponge and then put it in my day to day. Like I was just very in the system, going with the flow, going to school, going to university, doing all those things. So leaving that and then coming into this, it was all a reflection of her. And then with my knowledge and background, I just took over that part of the business. Whereas like she knew what products we wanted to use, all the formulas and everything like that. And then I just did all the logistics, started from scratch, building everything up basically, and then packing fulfillment, figuring out all the technology stuff because Madison's not the tech savviest person out there. So it was like a yin and yang kind of situation with us. What she lacked, I had picked up, and then vice versa, because obviously she was the one that was into all the information about what the do's and don'ts of what to do with your body and, you know, all things wellness. So it was definitely, we just picked up off of our weaknesses and just chose what strengths to pursue in each end. So yeah, again, everything I do is a reflection of her.
Oh, that's
so
very
cute.
sweet. No, it's very nice. I mean, I think it's great because the dynamic of you both being twins, I'm sure, has played a huge role in you guys being business partners and now just on this entrepreneurial journey. So explain a little bit of that dynamic to me.
It's a tough dynamic sometimes because obviously a lot of people will like preach to you, don't get into business with your friends and family. Like it's going to destroy relationships. But me and Madison have been so in sync and together, like literally from obviously birth and conception, because it was all together. And we haven't had much time apart ever in our 25 years of life. And other than she traveled Southeast Asia for 9 months. So that was our longest stretch we've ever spent apart. And honestly, I've said it before on a podcast that I couldn't imagine doing it with anybody else. But that being said, there is days in our day-to-day business operations where we definitely are pretty cutthroat with each other. Where if we weren't like relatives or twin sisters, we definitely wouldn't speak to each other the way we do sometimes. But
we're working on
it. It's a work in progress in communication. Obviously, I kind of lack the extreme skills of communication where she is better at it. But again, we're working on it.
She's so humble. I lack extreme skills of communication. But she's a shark in operations and will get shit done. Because for me, what takes me literally a week to place an order, to organize inventory, Megan will come in and get it done in 20 minutes. And I'm like, I don't understand. Our brains just work very different in those departments. And thankfully, yeah, we are the yin and yang, the complete polar opposite, sun and moon. Like, we're over here. Thank God for one another, because I would never be able to do this without Megan. And I feel like Megan would figure it out without me, to be honest with you. But I'm glad that we can just do it together. And that's just it. But a little bit more about my background. Prior to birth, I actually studied osteopathy, which is like holistic manual therapy. And so I learned a lot about anatomy and physiology and just like how our body works, trusting the innate wisdom that it has, ancestral, innate, intuitive function that our body is able to regenerate and heal itself with everything that it already has. And so when I learned about tallow, the Latin word for tallow is sebum. The oil on our skin that produces is called sebum as well. Ancestrally speaking, you treat like with a like. So tallow, sebum to our skin. So it has just made sense to me on so many different levels. And so I am super, super glad that we've been able to just make this work and allow the brand to just speak for itself. I mean, it sounds cheesy when you say the proof is in the pudding, but the proof is literally in our pudding, just tallow.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's incredible. And I'm so glad that we've made it work, especially between the two of us. And we're reading all the business books and the communication and the leadership books and learning new tools, how to grow successfully together as a two-man team. We have recently hired an email marketer that is with us full time, and also a gal that helps us fulfill and manufacture and pack orders, which has been absolutely huge. So our team is growing, and we just cannot believe that we're here where we are on less than 2 years after founding this brand. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun to actually have people help us. Because the twins are tired. Okay. The twins are needing support.
I mean, I get it. I see all of what you guys are doing almost as a whole 360, the marketing, the Instagram, the funny videos, the captioning, the smart ideas to put all over your business. I mean, I understand. I really do see it, because it takes a lot of work. It takes a team. And the fact that it's just been the two of you up until this point, that's very impressive. Obviously, I can understand you've had probably other little bits of people helping, with outreach, website building, things of that sort of nature. But really impressive to see you two just do all of this at the age of 25, and that you already started it at 23. That it's that's very impressive.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah, I love to see it. I mean, it's cool. It's for me, I'm a big believer and cheerleader for people who turn their passions into reality of business, reality of life, community. And it really seems like you've taken one step of a passion and turned it into an entrepreneurial journey.
Absolutely. It's definitely been that. And there is still a lot of days where I'm like, this doesn't feel like work. Like, I don't think I'm working, it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like a burden. It doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, we have to go fulfill orders, or, oh my gosh, we're out of stock of this. We have to whip up a batch today. We're out of this. We need to place these orders. It does not feel like work. And obviously there's plenty of bumps in the road that have caused us a lot of stress amongst fulfillment and blah, 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 and all the in-between parts. But nonetheless, it has felt so incredibly rewarding to work on something that's not only supporting us and allowing us to live the life that we want to live, but also we're doing a thing and we're creating a thing and offering a thing that's genuinely making people happier, healthier, and more confident. And so it's incredibly fulfilling in that regard, because it's like, not only what we're doing is supporting us and allowing us to do things that we genuinely enjoy, but on the other end, our customers that are receiving our products are genuinely grateful. Like, we receive reviews that literally choke us up. And it's just like, nothing makes us feel happier than hearing real words from real people directly to us, explaining how our products has helped them change their life, or just, I like the smell of it and I love using it every day. Even something as simple as that. We're like, honestly, that's enough. That we did it. That's enough for us.
Yeah, I love the energy you guys get from it. It must feel really nice to just read those words from other folks and people around the globe that are using your products. And I think it's really cool that there are people, 15 minutes away that are ordering products, and you decide to make a video about it, about delivering and fulfilling an order that is just down the road, and the lady's at the door and she's like, yay! That's fantastic. I think the local and beyond support seems to be huge. And again, just to double down, it seems like you guys probably didn't have like a ton of jobs and before 23, that it was like, this is the job. And so I think that's fantastic, because it's such an early start in your growth as a human being, that you're talking about 2 years, talk about 10 years, it's gonna, you guys are building an impactful piece of history here that I think will simply grow and grow and grow.
Wow. Yeah. I like to imagine a little tallow dynasty. And we have just so many cows and horses, and maybe by then we'll have like 10 babies each, and we'll just have a bunch of little soldiers that are just making tallow for us, and they're our kids, so we don't have to pay them. We just feed them.
Right.
Like the little child labor tallow makers. Like, I'm so looking forward to it.
That's hilarious.
Oh God.
Tell me a little bit about the process about how you get your tallow.
Take it away.
So we actually, when we started sourcing our tallow, we reached out to a family friend who is a butcher, and they source all their beef locally, and they actually have their own cows as well. So they, prior to us reaching out to them, they were actually throwing away all like their leftover suet, and like they weren't really into the rendering process and keeping the tallow. They were throwing it away because it was just discard and, a byproduct of the beef industry. So it was a really crazy time, because right before we asked them, they were like, oh, wow, we actually just started rendering it because people are starting to ask us for it. And we were like, oh, wow, that's like really interesting. Can we get like a couple 100 pounds? And then they just like started fulfilling it. So they actually only live 20 minutes away from us. And we've been buying their meat for, well, heck, my grandmother, when she came here from Poland, was buying meat from them. So it's been years and years of literally them feeding our family, to us now sourcing our tallow from them. And now it's just, they're our go-to, and they always will be. And we're forever grateful for whatever they have done for us in the past, and even the contacts that they have put us in, and, given us that white brick of tallow that we pick up every couple of weeks.
I love it. I love the connection I love the simplicity of the generational benefit of it. I think it's really cool that your grandmother did that in the first place, because it's always going to be your choice how you feed your family, and it's always going to be your choice on what you teach them generationally. And I'm really thankful that I grew up in a family that valued food a lot, and the practice of sourcing and having, the best of what you can. It's really not about the luxury of it all. It's like, I was always, because I grew up in a hunting family, as well as my cousin Jeremy was born with a condition where he can't process anything from the bovine chain. So like nothing, like he can't have beef. Venison is still pretty tricky for him. And obviously tallow wouldn't affect him like that, but I'm talking about eating the actual meat and byproducts. So my grandpa, when he was a young boy, decided to tell my uncle, well, you're the firstborn, he's the firstborn of you. Why don't we just teach him how to hunt? Like, why don't we just, and being in Kansas, major duck population, gigantic duck population. So he learned how to, shoot birds and live on, and he's honestly never shopped at a grocery store pretty much, for meat at least, in his whole life, because he's always hunted and fished. So I love the connection of anything that goes back to generations of something with family, something with a family connection. And now you guys, this many generations later, are doing it with a skincare company that is supporting almost like the back end of the company, because you're buying all of the fat, all of the suet, all of the rendered parts of the animal. And it really brings a whole new meaning to nose to tail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's just like another sustainable factor to the business where, one, we're supporting local, two, we're using an actual byproduct of, it's no longer waste. It's going into another product, which is going to be used. And yeah, sure, our empty jar will be the waste at the end, but I'm glad that I was able to take away the garbage of somebody else and make it into something very useful and helpful, and people want it.
And our jars are glass as well, so easily reusable.
And again, I'm from the Midwest. Again, you nailed it, Madison. I was going to say that everybody in the Midwest uses jars, again, for other things,
Oh, my family hates me. I have jars coming out of my freaking wazoo here. Like, honestly, I have so many jars kicking around. We don't have space for them. Okay. I'm keeping absolutely everything. Absolutely anything that comes in glass, I'm keeping it. And I don't even know why I'm keeping it, but it's going to be useful someday, somehow. And like, we have quite the stockpile of things here. And I'm like, well, you never know. Maybe I could just like put this oil in there. I can make this. Or if we have extra tallow at the bottom of the pot that we couldn't get into a jar, then I'm like, I'm going to put it in there, and then I'll keep it for another day. I'll keep it for a rainy day. It's important. I don't know. I love it. I'm a little bit of a scavenger and maybe hoarder, but yeah, I like that. That sounds better.
Well, yeah, it's like I said, when it comes to your business and the product and the longevity, especially just 2 years in, it's like, come on, let's get real here. I'm trying to keep this as sustainable as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now segueing, we were talking about food earlier. Tell me about just how growing up was that kind of the same sort of influence? Grandma's around a lot. There's a lot of, you said meat and potatoes type of thing, but a lot of local sourced, I'm hearing.
Yeah, where we grew up in Ontario, we've never not lived surrounded by fields of produce and vegetables and all the things. We grew up working in tobacco, Megan and I. We worked in tobacco for 4 years?
4 years, yeah. And even prior to that, we were living on a cherry farm, and they also had like cash crops and beans. What else did they grow? Zucchini, potatoes, and Roma tomatoes as well. So my parents, when they would go to work for the day, they would send us off with the field workers, and they would be our babysitters technically. So we would be out in the fields with like, the manager, and he'd be watching us and basically babysitting us at the age of 10 while we were picking bushels of beans for $10 a bushel, and
we'd probably pick one bushel each, make $10, and then we'd get sent home.
Yeah, and that would be a full 6 hours.
Oh yeah, just sitting, and that we get picked up at 7 a.m. by one of the Jamaicans, and we just go sit in the field and pick beans all day. It was like absolutely insane work, and we were so young. And I remember after we finished a day of work, it's like, okay, I made $10. What can I buy? And I'd buy a headband from Lululemon, and that was my. That was my what I worked for. That was everything.
So we've been really, really lucky for where we grew up. The seasonal produce that we are surrounded by is top notch. Yeah. And we are surrounded by very fertile soil everywhere. So even gardening in the summer is great.
Tons of farms and farmers markets around us. Like we hardly ever go to a grocery store even today.
No.
Like it's always just farmers markets. They get the local produce from whatever bigger market around, or the local farms that come and drop off the produce, which is really, really handy and nice. And like we know we not only have we shaked our ranchers' hands, but we probably pet the cow as well. So it's super full circle. I mean, I love to live this way. I give thanks to all of what we put on our plates and eat, because this is what's actually fueling us in our ventures and all the things that we're doing with Tallow Twins and growing up. But yeah, very traditional European family growing up as well. Our grandma had passed away when we were really young on my dad's side, the one from Poland. But nonetheless, I mean, we have a lot of those like traditional homesteader characteristics that we like to carry. And I mean, this is just like what we enjoy to do, not even doing it for a way of living. Like it makes me very happy to make things and put them in cans and jars and do all the little homesteader thingies. It's just fun. I feel like this is where women flourish, and I'm very pro blue collar and I'm pro women at home. We are young bucks and we do not have our babies of our own. So kind of where we're at right now is like absolutely crush and scale Tallow Twins as much as we can. And then one day when it's time to have our own babies, this is a job that can be delegated to someone else, and we can just hang out at home, do things with our babies, but also still have a successful brand that we can support the business of on that side of things. So yeah, so that's kind of the goals from how we grew up and how we want to live our lives.
And not to mention, we were also coming from a background of a handful of entrepreneurs. So even our grandmother that had come from Poland, she came to Canada, opened up a motel. Our father, he was either a self-employed truck driver for like the 18 years of us growing up, or even convenience stores. He ran a few of those when we were kids. And then now, or even our grandfather on our other side of the family, he had owned a store for years and years and years. He was in the convenience store industry for, I think, like 30 years about that. So it just came, being an entrepreneur came almost naturally, because our parents and everybody around us was always saying, work for yourself, do your own thing, make your own money.
Be your own boss.
Be your own boss.
For someone else.
So it was always like, that was always pushed down our throats. So when
sounds beautiful.
Well, it was, we were definitely fed that knowledge.
Yeah, no.
But it definitely encouraged us more to start a brand, because it was a repetitive thing in our family that we had to be our own boss, and we had to make our own money, like as, you know, like a preteen and like later into our teenage years. And we were debating on going to university and whatnot, picking our futures, and being an entrepreneur was definitely highlighted.
Today's episode is brought to you by SAPS. You know, staying hydrated is crucial, whether you're working out, working hard, or just going about your day. SAPS is not just any hydration drink.
It's packed with electrolytes and essential minerals like sodium, potassium, and magnesium that help you rehydrate faster and more effectively than water alone. It's perfect for those hot summer days, intense gym sessions, hanging out with friends late night, the sauna, or even if you're just feeling under the weather. What I love about SAPS is that it's not loaded with sugar like many other sports drinks out there. It has just the right amount of sweetness and a refreshing taste that makes staying hydrated enjoyable. Plus, it's available in a variety of delicious flavors, so there's something for everyone. Whether you're an athlete, a busy professional, or someone who just wants to feel their best, SAPS has got you covered. And the best part? You can get SAPS delivered right to your door. Just visit sapsoriginal.com and use the promo code MEATMAN15 to get 15% off your order. That's sapsoriginal.com and use the promo code MEATMAN15 to get 15% off your order. So why wait? Hydrate smarter and feel better with SAPS.
It's always a process. It's always going to be a process of the influences around you, and the byproduct of the people around you and who teach you all of these things growing up are definitely going to influence your later years. So it really seems like you guys had ultimately one of the best support systems growing up. It seems like a lot of family based, and I mean, honestly, the hard work too that you guys put in at such a young age, that has definitely shaped a backbone for you, which is ultra impressive. I mean, being in a bean field at 10, I cannot imagine. I was riding my bike when I was 10, so I was not doing that or working in tobacco or anything. But honestly, it's so fascinating to me personally because a part of me wishes that I grew up in that sort of setting, but I think it's because you live through the other experiences of, you know, folks when they explain things to you and they're talking about their history with things. So again, kudos to both of you, because that is really stinking cool that you guys just, it's what formulated you. And I think that's so amazing. So like then into the later years, obviously 18, 19, this is when like the ideas of like maybe a skincare company is coming up, or was that just something just a couple of years ago?
No, that was literally 2 years ago while I was in my kitchen already making tallow bombs for my clients, when I was just like, I try to think back to those moments and think about what I was actually thinking about, but it was literally just that. It was nothing at all. I was in the kitchen making a small batch. I'm talking like 10 to 15 mini jars of tallow for my expecting clients and their babies. And then Megan was watching a movie, or we were watching a movie together. And I remember asking her, like, we should make tallow. And to this day, I am so shocked that Megan was like, yeah, sure. Because she was never a skincare girly. She never put a whole lot of time and thought and effort towards this. It's just like whatever I bought for her, whatever I told her to use,
sure,
that's what she would use. So when she said yes, it was like, oh, okay. Like, well, where do we start? Like, where do we buy our jars? Where do we buy the tallow? Where do we buy the carrier oils? What are we going to call ourselves? We need to make an Instagram. And then that was the next day. We went to a Goodness Me, which is like a little Whole Foods type vibe grocery store in Canada. And they have like a little cafe section, and we sat down with the computer that I'm on right now, and we started designing the label on Canva. Had a few different options. I kind of put them together. Asked to some of my friends, which one do you like better? We are making an Instagram, follow us. We have 10 followers, blah, 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 blah. It was just like us and our family members. And then, yeah, so that was it. There was no thought. There was not much thought. Even 48 hours prior to Tallow Twins being born, there was nothing. It was literally the night before. And then we just pulled trigger on it. And yeah, no, if you would have told me 2 years ago that we'd be here today, I would not not saying this to be humble, but like I would actually not believe you. There's no freaking way that I would ever thought that this would be possible. Or even if someone said, you should start an e-commerce skincare brand and try to scale it, I'd be like, what? Like that's so unrealistic to just start something. But now here I am. I would be definitely that girl to tell someone like, you could just start something and do it out of your kitchen. And then maybe it'll graduate to your garage. And then maybe it'll graduate to your dad's garage because it's bigger. And then eventually your dad's going to build you your own little facility because he wants you out of his fucking garage.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are right now. And so, I can't believe where we are and how we got here. And it's been kind of a blur. It's been pretty wild, but, I mean, you move the needle a little bit, 1% a day, 10 days later, you have 10%, 100 days later, you have 100%. Like you'll be shocked at how much you can improve in anything, whether you're trying to learn how to freaking crochet or you're trying to build an e-commerce brand, whatever it is, you do a little bit every single day, you will improve, you know? No one learns a trade overnight. You just have to start. It's the best way to learn. But yeah, honestly, it's crazy. To this day, I'm like, am I going to wake up and this is all going to be a dream? Like, how did we get here? It's crazy.
As you said earlier, the proof is in the pudding, and the pudding is working because, yeah, I mean, just in general sense of the word, in the most humanly way possible, both of you guys are both glowing. Your skin is very, it looks like it works out pretty good, pretty darn good.
Oh, thank you.
Do you guys avoid any types of food or anything in general that could impact your skin in general? Is that something you've educated your guys' selves on? Or, I mean, I would assume. I'm asking in the sense of, has this taught you to learn about different foods that affect you both personally or just the human self in general?
I would say the biggest one that came to my mind are seed oils. I'm talking canola oil, vegetable oil, sesame oil, all those pesky oils, especially when your foods are fried in them, which almost all of them are, which causes them to oxidize and pretty much destroy everything in your body. To stay away from seed oils has been our biggest thing in our diets and our health and our wellness, our skin, all the things. But also, I mean, this is a very personal one because what works for me, like I was saying earlier, doesn't work for everyone. But in the last 2 years, kind of around the same time that we founded Tallow Twins, I found a source of raw dairy, which is extremely difficult to find in Canada.
So hard, even here in Colorado.
Wow, really? It's so devastating. And I mean, I think in the US, there's some big things happening and change where I think more raw dairy will be accessible, I hope. But Canada is quite far behind in this department. But I was able to find a raw dairy source here, and that has exponentially increased my health and wellness and vitality completely. But also, like, we primarily eat an animal-based diet. Don't get me wrong, we will go to an Italian restaurant and eat all the bread and all the pasta and do what we will. Megan's slamming a bunch of espresso martinis naturally. Maybe I'll have an Aperol spritz every now and again. But because we take care of ourselves so well and we give ourselves all the nutrients that our bodies need to flourish and heal and regenerate, all the things, this is how we have been able to kind of allow ourselves to do what we will with our diet and nutrition specifically. But yeah, all things primary importance in regards of what is going in our body is protein, butter, salt, fats, all the things. And yeah, that's pretty much our diet in a nutshell.
And I just eat whatever she eats. So again, I'm a reflection of her.
The mirror here.
But I've also always had a very bulletproof gut. Like I don't know. I think I definitely inherited that from like the maybe European side because we could pretty well just eat anything and it doesn't really bother us. So I've never been somebody who has been like acne prone or like dairy sensitive or just nothing. I'm not sensitive to anything.
Neither one of us has a single allergy to food.
So I don't know if that started as like a very young age, whereas like we were always just like
exposed to everything.
Organ,
meat, soup.
Yeah. So I think that definitely reflects a lot about our health in general. So we have solid guts, like, and that's where a lot of like being acne prone and like skin issues, this come from is your gut and like what is going on internally. So
your gut's a reflection of your skin and vice versa. So how your skin is acting and looking, maybe we can kind of dive inwards a little bit and see what's going on, what we're doing to our body and how we can fuel it better so it can heal itself. Back to like what I was kind of mentioning earlier about me studying osteopathy. Our body has everything it needs to regenerate and heal, to be healthy and to work properly. But we need to be fueling it properly so it can do all those jobs.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong whatsoever. I think that there is a lot of sobering and like look in the mirror type of truth to that. You know, there's a lot of people that I understand, you know, eating for joy and eating for different branches of emotions and fulfilling different parts of things that I guess just make you feel better when you have certain things. But I'm totally with you there, where avoiding the highly ultra processed seed oils, carbohydrates, sugars, things that are just too processed, too much.
Absolutely.
And like single ingredient things can never lead you in a negative, unhealthy path for the most part. I'm trying to think of a single ingredient thing that maybe isn't good, and I honestly can't think of one. Yeah, do that and you will heal. Do that, eat single ingredient foods, move your body and sleep well. I am pretty certain that a good 70% of any health issues will be resolved. And do what you will with fact checking that. But I just think it works. Fuel, movement, food.
Nailed it. I agree. Yeah, right. I agree. I mean, it's definitely one of those things where I've also found a huge joy in finding single ingredient foods that remind me of the crazy processed desserts and wild shit that I ate growing up. And, you know, it's fun. It's fun to experiment in the way of making your own, you know, fruit leather, making your own cheesecake, quote unquote, you know, dessert, like things that
just so easy.
Yeah. Things that you can really just break down into single ingredients or throw a supplement of protein or something in there that makes it this, you know, thing. I've got these two buddies of mine have a protein company out in Austin, Texas called Noble Origins. My two buddies, Harry and Brett. And
shout out Harry and Brett.
Oh yeah, the boys. You know,
yeah,
Meat Mafia. Yeah. They make a cool, awesome, delicious nose to tail protein powder. And so it's more.
We should be getting a bag any day now. Brett has tried to send us a bag about 7 times, I think, by now, and it's been months. But I'm really looking forward to it. Brett, if you actually sent it, I can't wait to try it.
Yeah. The shipping, I get it. It's probably wild, but yeah, I understand the balance of now being able to have the wherewithal and the mindset and the drive to go out and like seek or create or talk with other people about something they made or a recipe they did that was something that can hit all the receptors and all the dopamine, if you will. But if it also can be nutrient dense and actually fill and fulfill your body.
When your body feels so good after eating genuine nutrition, nose to tail ingredients, your body will let you know, and your body will begin to crave those things. If you're not your body craves what you feed it as well. So when you start feeding it things that actually make it feel good and heal, your body craves it more than no other. And I believe especially women predominantly have the ability to intuitively eat in a sense where your body will crave what it needs. And a lot of women, myself included, when I got off of birth control, I have never craved red meat more than I did at that time of my life. And prior to getting off birth control, which I probably would have been about 17 years old when I got off of it, maybe 18, 19, I don't know, around there. But I always ate meat. There was never a time in my life where I did not eat meat. But I remember kind of being a little bit grossed out of red meat for a period when I was in my late teens. And then when I got off of birth control, it was so obvious. And I'm not just saying that to support this argument, but it was night and day how much that my body craved red meat, and not only red meat, but very rare red meat, which, as we know, there's been a ton of studies done where when we cook a lot of our foods, it actually destroys a lot of the enzymes and proteins and all the incredible good vitamin things that are in said products. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Your body doesn't lie. Intuitively, primally, instinctually, it will crave things that your bodies need. And when you're not listening to those cues, then obviously that's when illness and disease becomes a player in your body's health and wellness, which obviously is what we're trying to steer clear of.
Yeah, I mean, the Myriad process, aka just the process of meat going from raw to the different degrees of rare, medium rare, and so forth, is such a wild thing when you're cooking professionally, just because there's like all sorts of people that want all sorts of different temperatures of meat. You know, the famous Anthony Bourdain, you know, rants about it in his book about people who would order medium well and just get
triggered.
He would like just be like, all right, give me the crappiest cut of meat. I'm going to deep fry it. And then that's what they wanted. So,
wow, that's insane.
That's all, you know, just stories from a chef. But going back to what you're saying, I totally understand the concept of, I'm sure I don't know the bio of it, but I can assume the iron is probably something that the body was like, I want all of this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And the rarer it is, the better the source, especially if you're really cooking something to rare, medium rare, like a true cook. And I'm not even talking about the person cooking. I'm talking about the cook of the meat. So yeah, it's important because there's so many different things, from meats to produce to dairy, that heat is just kind of the enemy. You know, it's like too much pasteurization, too much, you know, steaming or grilling or, you know, sauteing your vegetables, but not eating them totally raw, you know, and that hurts my stomach, at least completely raw vegetables. And so I'm a big fan of either drinking my vegetables and fruits or being able to find ways to cook them to my liking of just, you know, and again, going back to what you were saying earlier, supporting the community, getting the local produce, going to the farmers markets, gaining those relationships with your farmers, shaking hands, like you said earlier, with the farmers. That's a big deal to me these days, to at least build more relationships with people who are involved with my food.
Yeah, absolutely. A good account to follow on that note is Regenaissance. So Ryan Griggs runs this account, and he has an incredible movement amongst the regenerative farming and Shake Your Rancher's Hand and Raw's Law, all the things. He's always posting incredible facts, and he has a podcast as well, interviewing farmers and ranchers and all the things. It's just incredible to see what he's posting. I've learned a lot from his account. So yeah, on this note of what we're speaking about, this is definitely a good account for listeners to check out, and also for yourself if you haven't looked into his profile. It's incredible what he's sharing.
Yeah, that name rings a bell. I've definitely heard that name amongst the Will Harrises of the world and amongst others. So it's great. And I think that, excuse me, I think the movement of it coming back, of us eating how we used to, people supporting this generational growth of farming. I think it's fantastic for the future generations and the future of y'all's company. I think that is a huge major role in that. I mean, I'm sure you guys see yourselves in XYZ years continuing to do things and build your brand, as you said earlier, and scale it. So, I mean, what does that look like to you guys?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know where I see ourselves in the future, because I honestly, I couldn't even picture where we would be 2 years ago. I didn't know that this would be something that I would remotely even be good at, never mind getting it done. So I don't even know where I see myself. I just want to go with the flow. I want to see where things go. I don't want to have these insane, well, I'm losing my words right now. I don't want to get my hopes up too high or project too much, because I don't want to feel failure. But at the same time, I know Madison can dream enough for both of us. So I'm definitely going to just follow her steps. And
I'm the delusion here.
Yeah, I'm very risk adverse. I don't want to jump into a whole lot of risks. So I just kind of follow in behind her and pick up whatever I can do. And, again, what I said about being a reflection, my strengths are a reflection of her weaknesses. So she can do all the dreaming and I'll follow her, and I will pick up the pace where I can. Mm-hmm. And then I'll see where we are when we get there, kind of thing,
Yeah, I've definitely held the rope as the passion behind the project, the passion, the creative, the ideas, but Megan is the brains and the realistic operations of making it all happen. But yeah, where I see us, I mean, I see a team. I see we have a facility of employees that we keep manufacturing everything in-house, where Megan and I oversee everything. I don't know how many people I see in there working, but we have a team. We have a beautiful team that loves our mission, that loves what we're doing, that is a warm, inviting atmosphere where we have people that we know and love working with us. And then that gives Megan and I the freedom and availability to do the things that we love, to travel, to go to events, to be networking, to make Tallow Twins a fun and enjoyable brand to follow along. I mean, this is what we've been kind of trying to make of our ethos of our brand and the vibe. When you follow our social media from Twitter to Instagram, don't really look at our TikTok. We don't really give a whole lot of time and energy to our TikTok, but and our Pinterest as well. I also do photography, so I've been able to take a lot of our photos, and I imagine that our brand will continue to sustainably, organically grow as it has been, and the right people along the line amongst our growth will see what we're doing and to want to work with us and to be a part of our journey and our growth. And it just gets bigger and better, and we get more tallow to more people that love our products and love our mission and our morals and values and what we're doing. And yeah, to hopefully educate and learn. I can't wait for all the things that we're going to learn yet, because I didn't study business ever in my entire life, but I've been living it, and I cannot wait to learn more of it and to just be better in all these departments, and just continue to soak as much information from as many founders and creators and affiliates and as many people as I possibly can, because I think this is the real life university that a lot of people don't get to experience, and we got ourselves a one-way ticket, and this is where we're going and how we'll be learning.
I love the present moment of everything. I love the intention of it's there. I have these ideas. It's going to grow in this organic way because I think that there's a lot of basis of questions that I try to ask my guests that isn't just the, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see your business growing in these certain, very robotic, dogmatic questions that definitely they hit the point, but I try to extract more of a present moment out of it. And I think that's great because, it's always nice to preface and kind of ask. And obviously I've had multiple guests that have all of these pinpointed milestones that they'd like to hit with whatever they're doing. But I think that you guys have already done so much of the legwork of creating so much of this brand that it really is going to internationally grow into, I see it growing into a multitude of things. So congratulations to both of you. Honestly, the work that you've already done, you should be congratulated for. You should be, as I would always say to people, give them their proper flowers. So I honestly, it inspires me in what I do in my daily life here in Colorado and the continuation of my podcast as I've had the pleasure of being able to interview both of you today.
Thank you, Brian. We appreciate it so much. And your words are super kind. And it's super fulfilling seeing or just feeling where we're going and what we're doing every day. And even just like hopping on this episode with you today is just, your kind words just make us feel like our cup is definitely fuller today than what it could have been yesterday, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was our 1% today, brainstorming, bouncing ideas off you, having these incredible conversations. I mean, this is what it's all about. This is a part of that lively university that I was talking about, just like learning things from incredible people in the space. And our friend Steve Lane, he runs the Radical Health Radio podcast. And he told us once on the last podcast we were on with him that we are all Avengers for this mission. Yeah. That we're all on in this like health and wellness mission. And I thought it was so hilarious and so cute. So yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what you're doing. That's what we're doing. So yeah, it was incredible to chat. Thank you so much for having us. And hopefully the next time we're on, we'll be able to fill you in on all the new, fun, crazy growth things that we've been up to.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to have you guys on again. It'll be so cool to see the growth of where things are going. I'd like to have you guys on regularly. It's one of those things where this community is something I'm continuing to try to grow myself. So I'm all about the different Avengers, as you would say, the different key superheroes in the health and wellness journey, wherever it comes from. So before we sign off here, it's pretty obvious, but at least tell people where they can find you, how they can find you, where they can get the products, because I'm sure domains, you got to spell out the exact stuff, because obviously, even though Tallow Twins is unique, I've seen it all. So please take it away.
Well, you can find us at tallowtwins.ca. Our Instagram handle is just straight up Tallow Twins. No misspelling on there. Twitter, we're also just at Tallow Twins. TikTok, we're tallow.twins. And we'll get you a discount code that we can attach to this episode. So we'll call it Clean Plates 15. How about that?
Done. Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah, I'll send that over. I'll make it live, and all the viewers and the listeners today can definitely just hop on there and use a quick discount code to lather their skin in tallow. Yep.
I'm sure a lot of my audience members would love that, as well as people in my community. I cannot wait to keep sharing y'all's journey with everybody around me. So again, guys, thank you so much for coming on today. Megan, Madison, it's been such a pleasure.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much for having us.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you for joining me today on our flavorful journey here at Clean Plates. If you enjoyed our exploration into the world of food and the stories behind our eating habits, be sure to subscribe where you get your podcasts. And don't forget to share your own food stories on my personal page at Brian Waterleaf or the Clean Plates podcast page on Instagram. And remember, every plate has a story and we are here to discover them together. So stay curious, keep exploring, and continue to nurture your relationship with food. I'm Brian Romaine, and until next time, keep your plates clean and your hearts full.